Assalamu alaikum. Welcome. Suleiman Raheem here. Let's slay some demons. Brothers and sisters, sisters and brothers, I want to get into a little mathematics today to understand exactly what's going on. This is designated, this is dedicated to our imprisoned brothers and sisters. Hopefully they will benefit from it. This is what the Quran talks about, the wisdom. They said he would be taught the book and the wisdom. Where's the wisdom? The wisdom is the knowledge, the science behind our reality, which is pressure. As I have been saying, force is the most fundamental principle of the universe. Without force, there's nothing. The universe is force. That's all it is. It's just force. Energy is just a manifestation of force. Matter is really energy. We know KV has his definitions and all those different things. He's still learning. Matter is just force itself. It's just a different constructive force. I mean, they kind of like get to it when they say, you know, their so-called E equals MC squared. They say how you convert matter to energy. So if you convert matter to energy, then matter must be a form of energy. I mean, that's pretty obvious, right? So everything is energy. And energy is force. Everything. That means everything is mathematics, period. Now, you get this stuff from all these people, they got all these ideas. We're not interested in your ideas. We're interested in actual facts. Remember those? For those of you who came up under Elijah Muhammad, remember that concept, actual facts? See? We're interested in actual facts, mathematics. If you can't prove it, it doesn't matter to us. Just like the Quran says. If you can't bring 4 witnesses, hey, you're a liar. It doesn't matter what you saw. We don't care. If you don't bring the facts, we're not listening to you. We don't hear all this stuff you say. It sounds powerful. You know, like nothing happens without Allah's permission. Okay, prove that. Oh, who is this Allah you're talking about? You ever seen him? You ever talked to him? You ever met him? Can you prove he exists? If you can't prove he exists, he don't exist. Period. You got to bring 4 witnesses to prove he exists. If you can't prove your witnesses, bring your facts, he exists. See, we can prove mathematics exists because everything around you is mathematics. Everything around you is mathematics. Nothing exists, nothing moves without force. Show me anything that moves without force. Oh, you can come with this, you know, we call it metaphysics. Well, you know, I'm not interested in that. See, because you can't prove any of that. If you can't prove it, it don't exist. I'm not going to listen to it. Well, I'm not saying because you can't prove it can't exist, because maybe because you can't prove it, right? So I'm not listening to you because you don't know what you're talking about. So you can't bring facts. I'm not interested in what you're talking about at all. I'm not interested in your philosophy, your conjecture, your assumptions. Not interested in any of it. Because here we had a mathematics behind it. The day of superstition is gone. Because now you have the mathematic gods on the scene. The angel is mathematics. Precious mathematics. That's what I'm teaching. Mathematics. Farad is a master at mathematics. He's a mathematical god. That's why they can't deal with him. That's why they can't figure out what these planes, these wheels he have. He's not dealing with flying carpets and beads and prayers. He's dealing with mathematics, actual facts. And when you come here, if you don't have it, not interested. You see all over the internet all this stuff. Oh, it sounds cool. No. God saved me. God woke me up this morning. Prove it. You know, God woke me up this morning. You know, God ever woke me up. Oh, God made you in the womb. You know, God ever made me in the womb. That was DNA. You see, they didn't know about DNA when the crown was revealed. See? They didn't know about microscopes. They can watch the process now. You've heard of test tube babies. They can watch the process, and nobody's showing any photograph, anything. Anybody waving back, say, "Hey, I did this." See, I'm not here making babies for you. See, if that's the case, then what about deformed babies? So he was asleep. He fell. He slipped up on a job. It's just bullshit. All of it. See. Then you got Farrakhan's talking about, oh, God made us in the womb, and we had nothing to do with it. That you couldn't make the sperm, and God made this. You know, God made the sperm. And bullshit. My body produced the sperm. You understand? Ain't no God was involved in that. And when no God involved in making my wife's eggs. See? And was no God in the womb because I self-created myself with his DNA that I came with. And so it was nobody in there but me. Using the DNA. See, that was my blueprint. And the material was the egg. And I'm the result. And there was no God had anything to do with that. See, I'm not going to all the craziness about it. Because first they shove down your throat, God's a man, God's a man, God's a man. Which is true. God's a man. And then they come and tell you, well, God's the one that made you in the womb. Okay, so in the case of Elijah Muhammad, right, the God is supposed to be Farad. Right? So if he's the one, we didn't do it ourselves, he's the one made us in the womb, then he's out here making all these babies in the womb. He's sleeping with all these women. Is that how we doing it? If it's not, he's busy in everybody's womb making babies. I mean, that goes to the animals too, I guess, right? So he's pretty busy, isn't he? And so since the mother and father had nothing to do with it, then where the crack babies come from? See? So I guess Farad is my father. It's stupid. See? So you ask yourself, if God's a man, as they say, which he is, he's the one doing all this, wake you up in the morning, then what the hell do you need a will for? Just don't wake up the enemy. So they talking about something else. Say lying. They ain't talking about Farad because ain't no way in the world he has that kind of power. So they talking about some other God. See, that's like, and they get away with it because they'll never do a Q&A. Because the first thing I asked them, I said, wait, well, hold it now. You saying Farad's the one made me in the womb? No. Well, who's this God that you said that's doing this? Who is this God that you say is doing all this stuff? Because you already said God's a man, so it got to be some other God. Some God nobody can't see anything because nobody's ever seen way back at him when you look down in the telescope. You see? He's teaching you Sunniism. And he knows his audience. He knows his audience is so damn stupid, so damn dumb, they're a bunch of dumbasses, that he can say stuff like that and he'll never contest it. Because they're in love with him. They're idol worshippers. They're in love with Aaron, in love with Farrakhan. They think that bag that he pisses and shits in because he's disemboweled, they think that's wine and honey. They ain't about, it says like the son of perdition says those with him, they didn't have no love for the truth because he'd say stuff and whatever he said, boom, he farts and amen, that must be air freshener. Because they ain't about the truth. Because if they was about truth, he'd be finished overnight. One quick reading of Exodus is within him immediately. He's going to be cast down from within in a few days anyway. Because people are waking up over to him. So you still got some people with Elijah Muhammad that's still in there. And I have no problem with that. See? Because I would tell my children, you're better in there than out, not hanging out in the street. At least there's some semblance of Islam in there. It's all bullshit. And he just says, whatever he says, whatever pulls out his ass, he pulls out his ass and says, honey. And they say, hey man, that's yours. Smells good. Let me get a taste. Because nothing he says, so no scripture supports anything he said. That's why they have to make it up. And when they do quote scripture, they pick and choose stuff. When it's so obvious, just read Exodus and that's the end of it. Case closed. He's true. See, he's true anyway. He's over. His reign is over. He just don't know it yet. See. Anyway, brothers and sisters, we're going to go on a little mathematics here. See, and I said this is dedicated to the prisoners. See? So they understand the nature of their imprisonment because they still have us think with this devil mind. I'll give you a little background before we get into it. You heard the story of Jonah, right? Okay, that's me. I left the country, didn't want to be, after I broke the seals, I didn't want to go and warn Farrakhan about nothing, about anything. So I left, ended up in Guam, middle of the ocean over there, so about Australia, see, by China in that area. I got locked down for 3 years. They wouldn't let me leave the island. Some BS came up. See, the people I went out there with, I was working for this Indian company. We destroyed Jonah. And all this is public record. So ain't nothing I'm making up. Some people say, hey man, well, he put that together. He say, Jonah, oh yeah, I went and put that together and set this thing up and told him to put me, okay, whatever. See, it's like people say, hey man, like in my conception, the star rose in the east. If the star rose in the east, that means you must be in the west. My conception is the exact same time as far as this what came into existence. That was the star that rose in the east. He said, oh, well, yeah, he planned that, man. 1,000 years ago, he figured, planned, so he made sure he would more conceive that time so he could say that. Okay, whatever. Anyway, I was locked down for 3 years over there. They wouldn't let me leave. They threw me in jail. Put me on trial. On some BS. See? Then, I recognized what the situation was because, I hadn't really read Jonah before that. I read Jonah, I sold my situation because I'm a genius at figuring out scripture. Oh, that's what my situation was. So I went to work. I was knowledgeable. I had the wisdom at the time about pressure. I used it. I knew about the 5 principles of Islam at the time. I used the math behind it. Because when I said the island was against me, the whole island was against me. Believe me, I'm not exaggerating one bit. They did everything they could, right, to put me away. They would drag me to court almost every 5 minutes. I thought it was going to be a trial. Every time I went there, they had new charges. They just making up stuff. They wanted me to make a deal. See, if I go and make a deal, right? If I made a deal, I would only go to jail for 6 years. Otherwise, all these charges say I could be in jail for 36 years. Oh, some BS. Because and see, this book, if you can see this book here, see, this book was, see the date on it? That's not published this book. I had broken the seals, and I published this book at that time. The reason I did it, because I wanted to have a permanent copy of my idea of what I thought the Injil was saying after I broke the seals. And so I could always compare my notes years later, see if it changed, or if I've learned more things, but the bottom line is it's changed. Got the same, see if I can find. If you recognize, it's still in there, the angel key, right? So it's gotten better, hasn't changed. But if you read that book, if you've been listening to videos, you know where I'm coming from. Hey, they presented that at the trial. They tried to get me to back down because they was putting pressure on me. They tried to get me to back down to sign you know, take a deal. So they presented. You know, I'm talking about calling Saudi Arabia, you know, the golden calf and things like that. The imam that was on the island at the time, right? He was going to prosecute. He was going to testify against me because when he saw it, oh man, look, these Sunnis, they figure if they can lie on you, it's okay. They don't care. They think that you're not a believer. They can lie on you. It's okay. That's all right with their religion. Oh, he was going to come at me because hey man, I'm with Elijah Muhammad and Farad is God. You'd be surprised what they came at me with. But they came at me hard. And they came, bought that, opened that book up, you know, and started talking about it. And I said, they tried to get me to denounce it like I was going to back off. Man, I didn't write it. So, you know, whimpering. I said, I said, what's wrong with it? I said, is there something wrong with it? You see? So it went like that. See? And while I was in jail, you know, they used to have count, man, whatever, right? Nightly count and everything. So it's one of the guards. We out there, and he's gonna try to shame me. He walks up for me for everybody, man. Where's your God? What kind of God you got? I said, my God is a man. I'm trying to get me back down. I wouldn't back down anything. Anyway, the bottom line is with the word. I went a 30-day fast, 30 days. They tried to say they was gonna force me to eat and all this kind of stuff. I said, I'm doing my Islamic fast. You know? They took my Quran away, so I didn't have a Quran. I had memorized it, right? But I use the Quran for my salats because you got to understand the science behind it, right? So anyway, and I didn't take anything they wanted to give me there. I didn't want any of it. See, because that's like, it's like an anchor that holds you down. Anyway, the bottom line is we're going to talk about that in a little while. Anyway, finally we got to court trial. See, I'm not going to tell you all the things that happened because you wouldn't believe it anyway, right? But bam, 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 right? One thing happened is, I'll tell you a couple of things, right? The day of the trial, the night before the trial happened, right? The day before the trial, that imam was going to come to tell his lies on everything. His mother passed away, he had to leave the island. The cop that arrested me, he was going to say, I confess all this stuff. I ain't confessed nothing to him. He had a motorcycle accident, so he was in the hospital to get the field. So I went to trial, right? The jury, the whole 9 yards. See? Turns out the prosecutor, right, had somebody on the jury, and so the jury locked up because everybody else said, hey man, this student did nothing. But his person, they held out. They wasn't gonna, you know. So locked up. And the judge said, he's never seen anything like it. The judge said, I ain't never seen anything like this in my life. Never seen anything like this in my life. That's what the judge said, not in my court. Anyway, bottom line is, then one thing happened after another, and one day I'll go and talk all the details. I've talked about it a little here and there. Anyway, I beat him. I beat him. And the other lawyer was so hot. You can't let this guy go, man. He's guilty of stuff you don't even know about. They wouldn't give me all my, they wouldn't give me any of my clothes, stuff they took away from me. They give me any of that stuff back. The judge told me to give it back. He said, I ain't giving back nothing. I said, I got it. He got hot up in there. Because they thought they had me. It wasn't the way I was supposed to walk out of there. I wasn't supposed to walk out of there. And they was hot. They was arguing, fight with the judge. They still never gave my stuff back. See? So at the end, I had the lawyer. I should explain that, but I'm not going to, because I want to get into the presentation. But they tried to set me up with this lawyer and all this kind of stuff. But that didn't work. And they give me another lawyer. I'm not going to explain all that. All I'm going to say is, the guy told me, look, I can see that you, well, I will say a couple of things about that. I will. They gave me this woman from India. She's probably, and she's telling me, you want to make the deal, you make the deal. I said, man, you better get the hell out of here. I told the judge I don't want her. Oh, she's trying to advise. I said, I don't want her. So what happened was that they had the best lawyer that was on the island. The guy that was in charge of the public defender's office, something got sick or something. So they needed somebody to stand in to take charge of that while he was absent. So they picked this guy. His name was Jeffrey Moots. He was he was like the Perry Mason of the island. So they asked him to take over, while this guy was. So he agreed to. Now remember, he doesn't go out, right, and do cases himself, right? He doesn't do that. Not that guy's in charge, right? So anyway, this is that time that I told the judge I didn't want that female, that Indian lawyer, she was female. So they said, well, okay. So now this guy, he's in charge of the thing. So my case goes across his desk. So he looks at it. He tells me this later, right? This is bullshit. So he comes to the prison. I wasn't in prison. I was in jail. He comes to the jail, right? But they had moved me. They had a strange setup over there, because they moved from the jail to the prison. But it was like halfway. I don't know. I can't explain it. Anyway, there was prisoners there. So he comes over there, and look, when you're dealing with white people, when you first meet them, look in their eye, look right in their eye, because they tell you everything you need to know about them, because they catch themselves, because they reveal what they think about you when they first see you. And that when they first saw me, look, I see, man, this is bigger. Because he said it, blurred out, he says, but you black. See, I guess the Raheem threw him off, the Raheem. He expects to be a black person. He actually blurred out, but you black. And then he caught himself. Anyway, he took the case. Now remember, he doesn't do that because he's running the thing. He's chasing other people, But he took it because he said, man, he's the top. He's a Perry Mason Island. See how this stuff working? I can tell you a lot of stuff that happened. So he takes it. So he's there, my lawyer now. Right? Anyway, we won. Right? Went to jury, whole 9 yards. After he said, look, he says, I know you ain't afraid. I know, you ain't gonna let none of this, that they bother you. But he said, would you please just leave the island? Because I can't defend you again. Because if you go out there and didn't even talk and some saliva hit the ground, they're gonna put you in jail for spitting on the sidewalk. Because they after you hard. So he said, would you just please leave? After 3 years, I left. That's unfinished business, but I left. See? Now, why am I saying all this? Because there was no spook God there. I wasn't praying to any spook God. I was making my slot. Slot is not the same thing as prayer. Slot is reciting the Quran. Read the Quran. There's the daily prayers, and also there's the recital in the evening and night that says if you do it, maybe Allah will raise to a greater state glory. It's about reciting. It's not about praying. I don't pray to anybody. If you're God, you don't pray to anybody. Why should we, original man, the Asiatic black man, maker, owner, queen of planet Earth, God universe, who the hell we praying to? I don't pray to anybody. I prayed one time in my life when I was a child. My mother was very, very young. She died in her early 20s. I prayed, she was in the hospital, she was sick with cancer. She probably got cancer because nobody in my family ever got cancer. I don't know nobody, I know the old folks, honestly, anybody. Only person that ever got was her. And that was during a time when there were people taking those polio shots, and a lot of people got cancer from that. That's probably what she got it, because it doesn't run in the family. I don't know anybody that's ever got it. So I prayed, and she didn't know. She didn't know. I asked. I didn't know who God was. I knew there was supposed to be some God because she was very religious, right? So and that she didn't. That was the last prayer I ever made to anybody. So, and I didn't know who I was praying to. And I was just saying, "Please help her." Well, she didn't get helped. You know. Anyway, so some of you probably just turn off. Hey, fine. If you're praying to something, you better know what you're praying to. What's the thing Steve Wonder said? If you believe in something you understand, you're in trouble. Hey, man, he may be blind, but he ain't stupid. Anyway, so I applied the 5 principles of Islam. I got them slots down. I did a whole month of fasting. When I say month, I mean I didn't eat anything. I just drank liquids, anything. They threatened to force me to eat and everything else. See, put me on a suicide watch. They thought I was trying to commit suicide. Oh, it was, you know. And I beat them. And I was watching all these things, like I said, people will be testifying, and all of a sudden mother dies, and got a motorcycle accident, and all this stuff, and switch prosecutor, get the best prosecutor. And it's a whole lot of stuff that went down. I'm watching this. But see, if I didn't know like I know, so I was not a Christian, I think, oh, Jesus doing this. Well, no, Jesus doing it. It was me doing it, practicing Islam. Elijah Muhammad said Islam is a science. And once you understand it, you have power. But if you understand it, then people have power over you. And that's what we're going to talk about here, brothers. So let's get into it. Mind power. Mind power. Everything is force. Pressure is just force spread out. Example is if you have a broomstick made of solid iron that weighs 1,000 pounds, and you still straight up stand up like a broom would, you'll probably punch a hole through that floor because you put all that force on one little square inch of the floor. So it'll probably punch a hole right through it. But if you lay it down, it won't, because now you're spreading it out over a longer area. See? So if you had the same amount of, say it weighed a ton, but if you had a ton that was spread out over say a ton is 1,000 pounds, right? That 1,000 pounds spread over 1,000 square inches, that means there'd be a pound 1 square inch. So that's not going to punch a hole in the floor. But if you put 1,000 pounds over 1 square inch, then it's going to punch a hole in it. That's the difference between force and pressure. It's still the same thing. It's just spread out. Understand that. That's what pressure is. Pressure is our reality. Just look at yourself. Everything about you is pressure. Your heart is a pressure pump. Your lungs are pressure. Your kidneys, all of it is pressure. All of it is pressure. Your voice, when you're talking, those are pressure waves. You hear sound waves. Sound waves are pressure waves. See? Your thought, nothing moves without force. Show me something that does not move without force, and then we'll just stop right here. Nothing moves without force. So your body, for it to move, it requires thought to move it. If you're dead, there's no thought, so your body will not move. So thought must be force. Thought must be pressure. Understand that. That's a fundamental concept. If you don't understand that, you need to stop here, because we don't need to go any further, because that's the primary concept behind what we're going to talk about. Thought is pressure. How you express your thoughts? Through words. Words are pressure. Pressure waves. Sound waves is pressure waves. Understand that. When you argue with someone, what you're doing is you emitting pressure waves, they're emitting pressure waves. And if your mind, if your pressure waves are greater than theirs, they never have to succumb to your thoughts. Because they're experiencing those pressure waves through their ears, and it means overcome their mind because their mind is the source of the pressure. Their brain is the source, the brain is the source of the pressure. Pressure goes in one direction. It goes from greater pressure to lower pressure. That's a current. It doesn't go the other way around. Greater pressure overcomes lesser pressure. That's a current. It doesn't go both ways, only go one way. Greater pressure overcomes lesser pressure. So if your mind is more powerful than someone else's mind, then you overcome them. If your brain is more powerful than someone else's brain, it will overcome them because your pressure is greater than theirs. So they would have to submit, or they'd have to succumb or run away. Depends on what happens. Either they run away from your pressure or they'll submit to their pressure. Either way, right? See, can't overcome them. See, either they start rotating, or they burn up, or they move away. Either way, you had a greater effect on them than they had on you. So let's go. Energy ratio. This is important. This gets behind Yaku's creation. Both have the same amount of energy. The red is your energy. In a pressure system, we all have the same amount of energy. We are equal. We all have the same amount of force. In pressure, everyone has the same amount of force. It's how it's distributed. It's the ratio. That's what makes the difference. So in a situation where there's low energy, there's low energy, which we suffer for 6,000 years in energy deprivation, because universe, all the energy that used to be here is out there now. So now we have to go through a 6,000 year energy deprivation because it takes 6,000 years to change from the expansion phase to the contraction phase. The universe is expanding. It's momentous in the heavens and earth, but coming above a sudden. So it said the earth, the Quran tells you the earth and the heavens were one in the beginning. And then we spread them out. So all the energy you see out there used to be here on the earth, used to be the atmosphere of the earth. So as it split out, it means less energy here. So it got to the point where the universe expands, then it expands its maximum, then it starts contracting. So that transition is a 6,000 year transition period, which is a period of energy deprivation for us, right? So Yaqub came along and said, okay, what we do, Elijah Muhammad never said Yaqub was evil. See, Yaqub came along and said, okay, we'll make a man, he made a man, right, that required less energy, that wouldn't suffer energy deprivation. That's what you see on the left. Both have less energy, but the one on the left requires less energy. So he has all extra energy outside to work with. He can rule. The one on the other side, he requires more energy to maintain himself. He's a Lamborghini. He requires more energy to maintain. So he has less energy, right, to rule, to further things. That's the difference. So the one on the left, he rules because he got all this excess energy. The one on the left doesn't. Because, in fact, I'm showing it that way, but in fact, for a 6,000 year period, the black covered required all energy. He didn't have any excess energy. That's why we had no energy to maintain ourselves, no energy to maintain civilization, no energy to do anything. While on the left, right, he was given root, though he was made to make mission shed blood. He's weak. He has weaker structure. That's why he's smaller there. He has a weaker structure. He makes mission shed blood, but he has power to rule. That's the science, the mathematics behind Yaqub's creation. But he's weaker. The one on the right is stronger. Okay? So the energy is returning back to earth. Is momentous in the heavens and earth, but coming but of a sudden. It comes in waves every 50 years. The first positive wave we got was in the 1860s. The next one, right, was 50 years later, right? The first one broke out physical chains. The second one broke out mental chains with Elijah Muhammad, Marcus Garvey, Noble Ali. And the problem at that point was, right, well, I'm not going to this demon and saint thing. So we broke our mental chain. 50 years later, the social change. That was the so-called civil rights movement. It's around time, every 50 years. And now we in the process of breaking all the chains. In other words, we're getting the hell out of here, and we're going to set up our own nation. You see what's going on? That's how this is going to end. That's how it's going to end. We're leaving here, 1619, 2019, right? A plague that would kill the firstborn elderly, which would cause them to allow us to get the hell out of here, and we set up our own nation. It's round time. Okay. See? So now we've got more energy. So now we just got to wave in. Now we have more energy. See? Now what energy do it? We have enough energy to make a civilization. See, they also have more, the cave also has more energy. See? But the point is he's weaker. So in the collision, he's going to, in that, remember the pressure is all about collisions. So now we have the same amount of energy, but we have energy enough to pull a civilization together. So in the collision, right, they will be crushed because we are so much more powerful. We must have greater structure than they do. Hope you understand that. Okay, the balance. Okay, I'm giving you just trying to give you a graphic to try to get you to understand what's going on. Say this is the balance, this is the energy. In energy, this is a static form, but anyway, in energy, everybody, in the pressure field, everybody has the same amount of energy, right? So we have a situation here where everybody's, right, in their place, right? So everything is balanced, see? Everybody has their distance. So it's a stable pressure field, right? Because everybody has the same amount of force. So since everybody has the same amount of force, it's evenly distributed. So you see even distribution here? Okay, so let's see what happens there. Now, let's go back here. Now, this is a concept where I think I did mention this earlier. The pressure, everything has to balance. So no one can put more pressure on you. They can fool you and trick you, right? And threaten you, but no one. This is the way this distribution is. So no one can put any more pressure on you because right now, this is the way the pressure is. So everybody's balanced. That pressure keeps everybody in their place because everybody has the same amount of pressure. Now they say, oh, we're gonna come and get him. We're gonna give him a lack. We're gonna get him. So we're gonna put more pressure on him. But they can't do it. They're gonna deceive you into thinking they can do it because this is what happens. See, they did that. But see the red? That red means that when they come against you, right? That red means that's negative pressure, or called tension is the opposite. They build up a tension field around them that's pulling them back. See? So now they may be putting pressure on you, but there's a tension force that's working against them to pull them back. You see? So they're not really putting any more pressure on you. They just make you think they are. And if you're fool enough to go along with it, make a deal, like they get these brothers and sisters doing, make a deal, right? And then next, they threaten you and you're foolish enough because your mental power, you run the wrong software, so your mental power doesn't understand it, so they can threaten you like that because right now they they really ain't put any more force in you because actually those red ones they actually, if you from a mathematical point of view, they're your allies because they're working against them from the back. See, they're not people, they're just forces. So it could be like they attack you and then they have an earthquake, right? Or they get sick, or something. Something's going to happen because actually it may look like they got you, but they don't. Because you're not thinking correctly. When you understand how pressure, like I said, on the island, they thought they had me. I knew they did not. They had to put the fear in me. That's how they did us, how got in slavery, because they took the children away from the parents, and then they fooled the children, said, look, you black. You look like these apes over here. You ain't white like us. So you're animal. And the kids didn't have any form of reference. Children have any form of reference, so that's how they got us. They didn't break us. See, I heard brothers and sisters say they couldn't break us. See, they never broke us. What they did is they took our children and corrupted us. That's the difference. We were never broken. We was corrupted. See, that's the difference. Because children wasn't broken because they grew up thinking they was animals. They didn't know any difference. They never broke us. See, they couldn't, so they took the children. Okay. So if you look at it from a mathematical point of view, then 4 came against you, but now you got 4 allies in their rear kicking their ass. So the net effect, when they say net effect, that means when you bounce all out, they're not putting any more pressure, they're not putting any more pressure on you than there was before. They can't do it. So try to explain to you. I knew it on the island. And what's happening is that these brothers and sisters in prison, they don't understand this concept because they're thinking wrong. I don't care what you're in prison for. If your thought is pressure, remember that. Thought is pressure. If you get your thought greater pressure than theirs, then they have to submit. They'll have to let you go. You are the one that's keeping yourself in prison. Okay, anyway, I'm just showing you. They can't put anymore. So let's go on. See? The attention is pulling them back. They create that positive pressure. Now, in this case, right, this positive pressure, that means, let's take a look. Okay. What this means is positive pressure. In the other case, right, they came against you. In this case here, right, what happens is that, remember, everybody has equal pressure. But say you was able to double your pressure. Say you was able to double it. Then you move everything away from you. You move everything away from you. See, like this. Because the pressure you're exerting is twice as much as they are. So that means you got more space because you're pushing those things away from you. That's positive pressure. Now we'll talk about how you can achieve that. See, because that's what I achieved, and that's what you need to achieve, right? To get your behind out of the prison that you created for yourself. You don't know you did it. I'm not blaming you because you run the wrong software they gave you. It says, read the scripture, says we only endured slavery because of fear of death. That's what it says. It says we only endured it because of fear of death. That means it wasn't real. It was our fear that caused us to be in slavery. That's what it said. Read the scripture. It said we only endured it because of fear of death. It was our fear that enslaved us, not them. See? When you think about it, oftentimes on the plantation, it was hundreds of us, and maybe 2 or 3 of them. So how in the hell was they enslaving us on those situations? Our ignorance and our fear is the one that they use to keep us enslavement. You watch these movies, that's not false. It may be saying one slave master, maybe a couple of, what do they call those people? And hundreds of slaves. Okay, negative pressure. This is now. Remember last time when When they came together like that, they create negative energy that pulls it back. In this case, that didn't happen. Why? Because the black one there, his pressure went down instead of doubling, right? It decreased in half. So if the pressure was 100, that everybody had 100, his went down to 50. So now they collapsed around him. They got him boxed in because their pressure is greater than his. No, pressure goes in one direction. So it's current now. So he has low pressure and his pressure is lower than theirs. So now they got him boxed in. His pressure is lower than theirs. So now they got him boxed in. That's why you're in prison, brothers and sisters, because they got you boxed in, because your brain pressure is less than theirs. How did you let that happen? Because you didn't understand the fundamental principle. You don't understand, first of all, you don't have a thorough knowledge of yourself, and you don't understand how pressure works, because pressure is our reality. Because I don't care what you're in for, you could be in for a death row. Once you understand this concept, they got to back up. They got to let you go, because your mental power be greater than that, and you come up with ideas. You make because remember, how are they controlling you? How they got through thought? It's their thoughts that's controlling you. Their thought is this whole reality. The whole justice system is thought. It's all about thought. If you change their thought, you'll change the whole situation. It's all about thought, and thought is just pressure. So who has the greatest pressure is going to control the situation. So you have to learn, understand the mathematics behind it, and your thoughts have to be greater than theirs, and then that means events going to happen, right? Because you're changing your thoughts. Events going to happen, they're going to get away from you. See what happened. Okay. Now you guys mind back. So now you're pushing back away. Okay. Lost his mind. Right? Remember the man controlled by demons? Now he got his mind back, he pushed him away. He's only controlled by demons because why was he controlled by demons? He had lost his mind. The demon-possessed man was controlled by demons because he had lost his mind. Once he got his mind back, right? The demons got away from him. Okay, we're not going to go there. I was going to get into small. I just want to stick with this. So I'm going to talk about it a little bit more, brothers and sisters. Okay, brothers and sisters, let's talk about this a little more. So I'll make it clear. This is not saying I'm not putting down any brothers and sisters in prison. I'm saying I'm trying to give you the wisdom to deal with the situation, try to get you to understand what's going on. Because once you have a thorough knowledge of yourself, there's no way they can handle you. They only got you because you run the wrong software. See? So the 5 pillars of Islam. Okay, let's look at a couple of scenarios here. A question I ask people, you'd be surprised how many people get this, mess this one up. As I said, what's the difference? I mean, is 1,000 pounds, that says $1 million worth of shit equal to $1 million worth of diamonds? Is $1 million worth of shit equal to $1 million worth of diamonds? Think about it before you answer, because you'd be surprised when people get that, mess that one up. $1 million worth of shit equal to $1 million worth of diamonds. The quiz over. Of course it is. Both worth $1 million. If you got to exchange, you exchange it. You know, change and get you $1 million. See? You'd be surprised when people say, no, man, because they focus on the shit. But they're both worth $1 million. The problem is, are you living on a shit farm or you live in a diamond mine. Because Islam turns shit into diamonds. And that's the problem. Because if you're living out there a stupid life, then you're in a shit farm and you got just as much as anybody else. Remember, in the pressure, everybody has the same amount of energy. It's just how it's distributed. What the Quran says, Allah would lift you up, but you cling to the earth. So he would give you that diamond mine, but you cling on, you hold on to that shit mine, that shit farm. You can't have both of them. You gotta let one go to get the other. You gotta let the first floor go to get to the second floor. So here you're in prison. Take this as an example. So you're in there. Remember I told you, well, I wouldn't take nothing they gave me. So you're in there. Now, you got a twin brother or twin sister out on the street. Say twin brother, right? Twin brother, identical twin. Okay? He's got his little sweet thing, right? Right? He's hanging out. He's got a little crew, right? Okay. Now you in prison, that's what he got, right? And you got the same thing he got, but you twin brothers, right? I mean, 5 plus 6 is 11, right? 4 plus 7 is 11. 8 plus 3, it's still 11. It's just how it's distributed. So you're in prison. You got your little crew. You got your little thing. You know what I'm talking about. So you got, what he got is just a different color, different ratio. Both of you got 11, see, but he got 10 plus 1 and you got 1 plus 10. Because you hold on to that. See? So you ain't coming out of there because you got the same thing. But if you let that go, then that pressure will be used in getting your ass out of there. So if you're holding on to that, then hey, as far as mathematics are concerned, you're good. You're in prison. I mean, you're not in prison. You got the same thing he got. I don't know if you understand that, brothers and sisters. I'm trying to give you wisdom here. Okay. So you let that little thing go and give up your crew and start focusing. Right? Okay, then that mathematics changes. Because that's what's holding you down there. So you got anchors holding you in there. Because you accept that, what they gave you, so now you accept the shit mine. You accept the shit farm. While your twin brother, he's got a gold mine. And you got a shit farm. Same amount of work, same amount, but you settle for the shit farm. Let's another example. In the Bible, it tells people, tells David, don't count your army, your soldiers. Because we understand pressure, right? The numbers doesn't matter. Because that shows you in that situation where 4 came against you, but they created a negative current that pulls them back away. That's working in your favor. So they have no effect, no net effect on you. But they can fool you. Oh man, I got these 4 guys, man, I'm gonna go along with them because they're gonna kick my butt, right? So you bought into it, so now they control you. Right? Because what they're controlling your weak mind, the bad software you're running. And through that, they're controlling you. When they actually had no control of you whatsoever. The Bible tells you that. Even the Quran tells you that they have no control over you. That's why it says, why do you think the Quran tells you, right? Fear no one but Allah. But you don't understand that. Allah is mathematics. Fear nothing but mathematics, because mathematics goes against your ass and nothing you can do about it. Because mathematics went against our ass for 6,000 years. But now mathematics in our favor. It's getting better and better. Every 50 years, it's going to get better and better and better. This one is, you see what's happening around you. Mathematics kicking their ass. Now it's in our favor. They won't tell you the whole truth. We just found out. I've been saying all the time, but now we got to prove that the continent of Africa is hardly any affected by this virus at all. Hardly affected at all. Virtually untouched. They got the same DNA we have. Black folks ain't dropped like flies over here. But they want you to think that because they know exactly what this means. 1619 to 2019, right? 400 years. 2020 would be the judgment, a plague that would kill the firstborn, which is the same thing as the elderly, and pass over us. They can't have you thinking like that. They mess with your mind. Mind power. So what do? You guys start, first of all, let's say Islam changes shit into diamonds. You got to live the life you want to live, a diamond life. If you want a diamond life. If you want a shit life, to keep living a shit life. The life you live in is because the life you created. The life you live in, no God did that, you did it. The life you live in, and not your fault, mostly it's not your fault because this is the mind that the devil gave us. So that's my job to try to, my job is to get rid of that mind and give you, get you the right mind. That's what it says in Daniel. It says that line, the eagle wings that be plucked up, that's talking about us. And the mind had to be given back to us. It says the same thing about the demon possessed man. The mind had to be given back to him. Then the demons was gone. The only reason they was there the only reason demons was there because he didn't have the right mind. So you got the 5 pillars of Islam. First of all, the first one, right? If you understand it, what it really means is understand the mathematical principle, the fundamental principle of the universe is force, period. That's the most profound attribute of Allah because Allah is mathematics. And force is the most fundamental principle. If there was no force, it wouldn't even be a God, even if it was a mystery, whatever you want to call it. Force is the most fundamental. That's the first principle. You got to understand that. And you go from there because all other principles are based on that. See? So once you apply this, you start increasing your brain power. See, remember, you can't just create power out of nowhere. Remember, it's a ratio. Because right now, what's happening is that you have enough power right now, but you misusing it. Like I said, that person, he's sitting up in there and he's got a little freak thing up there in the prison, right? And he's got a little crew and they got all this stuff, right? See? So everything counts for. Everything is mathematics. So his brother outside got 10 plus 1. He's got 1 plus 10. Still 11. See? So they're equal. As far as mathematics, they're equal. So it's how you distribute that energy. So when you're fasting, right, that's controlling that energy. You're conserving it, using it, focusing it, right? You make salat, right? Understand salat. Now I'm taking a little time here, bro, and sisters. I'm trying to be more detailed than I usually am, because this is for the sake of the brothers and sisters in prison. If you listen to this, if you understand it, you're coming up out of there, right? It just depends on you, how much time you effort you can put in. It took me 30 days, 2 months for me to get past what they threw up on me. Anyway, and I would, but I ain't, some of you, but I don't know if you remember that Star Wars movie. I mean, that movie was you gotta understand what's going. I'm not going to it because see, it sounds like you get misunderstood. If I talk too much, you misunderstand what I'm talking about. But remember, the whole idea about how things the force. That movie was telling you something. But if you remember that thing, the guy says either you do or you don't. Because he said, well, that's a big plane, man. He said, no, ain't no difference. It's a difference in your mind. See? So I said, oh man, I'm in jail, man, for 50 years because, man, because I murdered somebody. You probably murdered anybody because, That's just more complicated things, but it's not no difference. And what I'm talking about is no difference. Oh, I'm here, man, for a shoplifting, so I only got a couple of years. See? You're still dealing with minds. You're still dealing with minds. It's minds. It's not them jail bars that's keeping there. It's minds. Who is the one that who is the one coming to turn the key? It's minds you're dealing with. It's pressure you're dealing with. And if your pressure is greater than theirs, they're going to change. They got to move out of the way and let you out. I'm telling you, science. When Farad made slots, reciting, not praying, reciting, 6 to 8 hours every night, walking back and forth. What, you think that was fun? What's the science behind that? See? When you make salats, right? Okay, what you're doing is here you got the Quran. Now we're told that the Quran comes from, the word of God, word of Allah. And we know Allah is a man. Now the thing is, your heart and your brain are connected. I mean, your heart and your voice are connected. Because if your heart is nervous, it's going to reflect in your voice. They're connected. But you reverse the effect. See? So, when you speak from your heart. See? Your heart has a part to play in when you're speaking. I mean, your brain, right? But your heart also. Because if you're nervous, it's going to reflect in your voice. So, now if you say, Allah he's a man. Yeah, he must have the firmest of hearts. The firmest of hearts. So if you recite his words, that means you inculcate the effect. You take it and what you're doing is you reciting it, then you're affirming it with your heart. And the more you do it, the firmer your heart is. That's why Farad's doing it 6 to 8 hours a night. I tried 3 hours and it almost killed me. It's hard. It's not easy. So that's what you're doing. You firm your heart. But where's your heart? Your heart is the center of your circulatory system. Circulatory system. What? Means spinning. Anything circulatory is spinning. Anything spinning generates torque. Torque's an uplifting force. Torque causes things to be upright. Torque is what they put. A gyroscope produces torque. They put that missiles to keep the missiles from going off track. Because a bicycle, that's why it stands up, because of torque. Torque's an uplifting force. The faster it spins, it's hard to make it deviate, right? So that's why they put gyroscopes inside of missiles to get them spinning, so therefore it won't knock off course. So that means it makes you more upright. So the more you do it, the more upright you become. But also generates a magnetic field. Because when you spin, the more it spins, you generate a magnetic field. See, what pushes things away from around you. Things is like a magnet, right? The female will be more attracted, the male will be more pushed away, right? See? That's what slots do, because circulatory system. So, and it increases your circulation, right? So it makes your heart firmer. Right? So now you don't put up no shit. They can't come and tell you, hey, man, make a deal. You ain't hearing it. Because your feet are firm. You can't scare you. See, fear is taken away from you. And plus you generate this magnetic field, right? Which I'm not going into all the details about that, but that protects you from all kinds of things. Okay, so we talk about salats. We talk about the first pillar, right? About force, understanding force, believing it, fear nothing but Allah. That's force. Mathematics. That's the first one. Then you got the slut. Then you got what? You got charity. Okay. Now here you are. Say the balance is everybody has 1,000 units of energy. Everybody gets 1,000 units of energy per day. Right? That's the balance. Now, someone goes and take 500 units from you. Well, they just created 500 units of positive energy for you because it's got to balance back. Instantly, not 10 years from now, instantly. So he has created good energy. Positive energy is good luck. Negative energy is bad luck. So now he created 500 units of positive energy for your good luck. But he created 500 units of negative energy for himself, for herself. That's what thieves do. They didn't make any net. So that could show up in all kinds of ways. It could show up as a tumor that he's cultivating. He keeps doing it. Eventually, it's going to be terminal when he finds out about it. It could show up in a car accident. It can show up all kinds of ways. It can show up in producing a retarded child. It could show up in moving to an island that's about to explode, a volcano. It can show up all kinds of ways. It's going to show up instantly. Or meeting a friend that's going to cause you a lot of trouble later on, right? But that's for the person that did the deed. For you, right? Okay, now you meet someone, right, that's going to introduce you to the love of your life. See? Or it could take and be healing a tumor that you didn't know you had. You didn't know this tumor was cold, and all of a sudden just it goes away. You didn't even know it was even there. See? It can show up all kinds of ways, but it will show up instantly. See? Or you go around and you say, okay, I'll give you an example. When I came back from Guam, I moved down to Florida for a while. So toward this time, right, I used to run. I used to run all the time, but I try to keep, I'm about keeping my health up, right? Because nobody's going to do it. Jesus ain't going to do it for me. So I was a big runner. I ran for years. I'm 71 years old right now. I started running when I was 20, right? So I got about 55, I guess I'm about almost 60. Yeah, I was about 60. So I've been running about 40 years. And I wore out my hips. So I was a contractor. I was an AI contractor. I could still do it, computers and stuff. No, I didn't want to be an employee for anybody. I did contract work, contract off hourly. So I moved back here, and I was up in Tallahassee, and I got this job. These people wanted me to work in the temple. They refused. Said, we can't come. We bring you as a contract. We can't do that, right? At that time, I was just coming back from Guam. I didn't have any money, so I said, okay. So I don't want to do that. I just don't want to do that, right? But I said, okay, I'll do it. I said, I go just stepping stone. I work for 6 months or whatever, and I find something else. And I'm not talking about all the stuff happening in Guam. I'm talking about here. So it was that time that my legs really got bad. I could hardly walk, right? So I took the job, right? And it turns out, and it was a lot of things, because I had this problem, but I was going for about 2 or 3 years, I was going to this chiropractor, telling me all this stuff, talking about my back problem, all kind of stuff. So then I come to Tampa, and I couldn't walk. So I had to go to somebody told me, go to this doctor, right? So he had this procedure called this Birmingham method. At first, he told me what the real problem was. His doctor was the chiropractor tell me my back was all messed up. But that was a good thing, because see, the thing is that they was lying to me, but time passes. So I meet up this doctor in Tampa. This guy knows this new procedure that comes out of England called the Birmingham method. It's not hip replacement. It's hip resurfacing. Some of you probably seen advertisements say they was talking about years a while back that if you had the procedure, right, you can sue, because the American version of it, right, was bad, and it wasn't. But this guy, he had went to Britain, and he had got the British version called the Birmingham method. So he had two methods running around. It wasn't too many doctors in the United States who might do it at all. It was only a few. But he was one of them. But he just happened to be the one that got the right one. So he told me, you got hip problems. He says, well, I got this new procedure called the Birmingham method, hip resurfacing. So we have to take the bone out. We have to do all that kind of stuff. You do everything you was doing before, right? We ain't got to cut no bone and that stuff. and you heal in about a couple of weeks, few weeks. Me, I was fast, so I healed like, and I was actually walking about in a week. People say, "What the hell?" They couldn't understand. My fasting. I was at that time. I was eating like one meal every 3 days. So, one point I'm trying to say is, and then the thing is, because I was an employee, they paid for it. I had to get both hips. The company paid for it, and I got the right procedure. And was healed a couple of days, and I do everything I was doing before. I don't run, right? Because they tell me I gotta run. They tell me if you run, it won't last that long, and I don't want to do that again. So I just do fast walking. I still put in 7 to 8 miles a day anyway on a treadmill. But I don't run. I just walk fast. Keep the impact down. I'm just trying to point out how it worked out, because the chiropractor lied to me, right? Because if they had done it, if they had told me the truth back there, I would have had the hip replacement thing. You see, because when I had this, there was another black guy. He was working the same place I was. He had hip replacement. He's about the same age I was. He was still walking around with a cane after 6 months, trying to heal up because he had the old procedure. So was there God involved there? No, it was me practicing Islam. And everything worked out just, like I said, everything works for the good of the righteous. See? When you understand, but now you can either credit some God with it. I'm not crediting God with this, because it was only God was involved with me practicing, because I understand, how those things work, how it comes together. So that's another example. I can go into more details about that. Oh well, well, at the time I was living in an apartment, and it was a second floor apartment, right? And about this time, this woman, she was on a job. She says, "Are you looking for an apartment or something?" And my wife, she was still up Tallahassee. See, and I said, "Well, yeah. I mean, some said, well, there's a nice house for rent right where I live at, and everything. The price was right, and everything. It was a nice house, right? Option to buy and all that kind of stuff, right?" So I went and got it. Hey, man, boom, bam, bam, got that done, right? Now it's him. So on the first floor, and here it didn't have no stairs. Go right in. That's the way it was, right? Turns out, right, when I had the surgery, that's exactly what I needed. They told me that's what you needed, because I couldn't have gotten down the stairs in another place. All this came together exactly, perfectly, exactly. And that stirred my life. Understand? See, I'm 71 years old. I ain't taking any medication, except for, well, I do have, your prostate gets up, and hey, right? So you gotta do something for that. Other than that, that's it. See? So get back to this charity thing. That gets back to, if you take and you're 1,000, you get 1,000 per day. But if you're giving out 200, you generate 200 positive energy for yourself. The energy could be a healing, right? It could be helping your health, however you want to use it. But some of you don't understand that, because everything costs. Everything costs. Everything. When it's mathematical, when you say when you're grateful for somebody, that costs something. A child that's ungrateful child will pay. They build a dark cloud over their head. They can't understand why things working bad for them. See? Because they're ungrateful. You do all the things for them, and they should pay back for being grateful, being obedient. But they don't want to do that. So now all of a sudden they have all this trouble in their life. They can't understand it, because they build all this negative energy for themselves. That's why the 10 Commandments are honor your mother and father. So here you are. You got this old raggedy house. You got 2 cars in the garage, 2 raggedy cars in the garage, right? Got all this stuff packed up in some barn somewhere and everything. You're paying for that, brothers and sisters. That's part of your mathematics. It's costing you something. The mathematics don't give a damn about it still costs. There's a value to it. It's a mathematical value. So you're sitting around, oh man, nothing worked for me, man. I want a new car. Well, if you got rid of those two old ass cars, then you'll be able to get a new car. Because you're throwing the balance off. Because you got all this stuff hanging around. That's why it says Jesus would teach you what to keep in your houses and what to not. Because you keeping stuff down this neck that's neutralizing your blessing, if you're going to call them blessings. Right? Blessing comes from God, from you, from your own hands. So you keep a lot of stuff, right? And right now, we're still suffering from energy deprivation to a point, not as bad as it used to be. So it means you have to be very careful. You don't want to carry around a lot of excess stuff because it's costing you. Everything costs. Everything. You have to understand that. See? So that's the general idea of charity, right? Because that's the balance, charity. But that's another thing, right? You give us, you create positive energy by helping other people. You're helping other people, right? That means you're giving energy. You help other people, you're giving energy. Not for yourself. So that means it's going to come back to you another way. See? Because everything balances. So, charity is about currents. What is a current? It's a differential in pressure, right? So, if you take and you have this much pressure or this much energy, you have 1,000 units of energy, and you give away 200, you just generate a pressure differential. So now you got to get two positive energy, come back, balance it out. You create a positive current for yourself. But if you're going to take it from other people, right, you deal a negative current for yourself. So now things going away from you. Maybe you might lose a loved one or something, or meet somebody who's going to cause you a lot of trouble, or get in a fight, or get in an accident. Because there's such things as accident. Accident is just mathematics you don't understand yet. No such thing. Never been, never ever will be. They call it accidents because they don't understand the phenomenon, the math behind it. So we can go into more detail about that, but I think you get the gist of it. So we talk about salats. It's not prayer. We talk about zakat or charity. Talk about the first principle. That's the mathematics. So we got two left, fasting. Now what's fasting? Fasting is a ratio between energy and matter. You're eating and energy, because while you eat, to get energy, right? That's matter taken to get energy. That's what force is. Mass times acceleration is force. So the thing is, what happens is that the more, in other words, if your force is 12, right? Think about it. If your force is 12, if your mass is 12, the energy is only going to be 1. But if your mass is 1, the energy is going to be 12. If your mass is 3, the energy will be 4. 3 times 4 is 12. If your mass is 2, the energy will be 6, because 2 times 6 is 12. It depends on you. So if you're fasting, the more you're fasting, right, then the more energy you're going to have. Now, we're not talking about calories. We're not talking about elimination of calories. We're talking about the frequency. Because if you eat 3,000 calories a day, 1,000 in the morning, 1,000 in the afternoon, 1,000 evening. So why not just eat 3,000 at one time a day? You're still eating the same amount of calories. You're not starving. But now you're increasing your energy. You see? You're increasing your energy. Remember I said it's all a ratio how everybody has the same amount of energy. But if you're going to use all your energy for mass, then you're going to have enough energy. Mass time acceleration. Mass time acceleration is energy. So the more mass you have, less acceleration. So if the more eat you have, the more, because people think, well, I eat and have more energy. No, bullshit. People come to, they come to the gym, oh man, I got to eat me a big meal. So man, the meal you just ate is not going to give you the energy that you, by the time you get to the gym, the energy, that's converted energy. That's bullshit right there. It takes 12 to 18 hours Before that energy, food rate is converted energy anyway. So it's stupid. So if you can eat 3,000 calories in one meal instead of one meal, one meal, 3 meals a day. Or if you can do 9,000 calories in 3 days, it's still the same amount of calories. But look at all the energy you're going to be having that you can use for other things. That's how you build up your energy. Remember all these things, torque is force, is spinning force. Remember, the fundamental thing is force. I said that's the first principle. Everything else, extension of that. Right? Fasting, mass time acceleration, that's force. That's the definition of force, mass time acceleration. So you're fasting, that's why I want a 30-day fast. Because I know it's going to maximize my energy. Because I know I was in a spiritual fight, spiritual war. And I went to war, and I kicked their ass. And they still can't figure out how I did it. So we talking about how many principles we talking about? We talking about salat, force, the first principle, charity, fasting. So we got one more left. You put these things together and guarantee, because they're mathematics. See, even these so-called scholars, they don't even understand that the 5 pillars of Islam is mathematics. I just showed you. And you can go and look and think about it, and you know it's correct. It's math. They don't know the mathematics. They talk all this bullshit. They don't even understand their own religion. It's mathematics. See? And if Islam is mathematics, Islam, that means the foundation set on must be mathematics itself. And their pillars are the pillars that Islam rests on. Those 5 mathematical principles. So there you got fasting. So the last one is the Hajj. And that's like, well, where is that? These people walking around a circle. Well, brothers and sisters, pressure. When you put pressure on a piece of coal, you put enough pressure on it, it converts into a harmonic structure, what you call a diamond. It has a beautiful harmonic structure. See? That gets back to our self-creation. I'm not going to talk about that here. When you put enough pressure on a moving, see, coal is static. But say you put pressure on water or some kind of liquid. You put enough pressure on it. Because pressure, remember, in pressure, things are colliding. See, that's what pressure is all about. It's about temperature and 3 variables. Temperature, that's how fast they're moving. The pressure or collisions, right? The intensity, right? The intensity of the frequency and intensity of their collisions. And their volume, how much of it is in there. So they're colliding. But when you put them on enough pressure, the same thing happens like with a diamond happens. They achieve harmonic motion. That means they're moving fast, but they're not colliding anymore. That's what the Hajj is. You got all these different people, all different ethnic groups, all different social strata, and they're not colliding. They move around in a circle and no collisions. That's what the fifth one's telling you about, harmonic motion. See, because you can have peace without harmonic motion, but you can't have harmonic motion without peace. Islam is properly defined as harmonic motion, not peace, because you have peace in the graveyard, ain't nothing moving. But in Islam, people are moving, and that's harmonic motion. Nobody's colliding. There's no contention anywhere. And when you start thinking mathematically, then there's no collisions anymore. There's no conflict. If somebody's arguing with you with a 5 + 2 is 7, then you don't even talk. That fool, you get away from that fool. Because if everybody thinking mathematically, there's no argument there. 5 + 2 is 7. Okay, there's no argument. But when you're not thinking mathematically, then everything's a damn argument. That's harmonic motion. That's why it says this pressure that's on this planet right now, this period, is going to pressure so great, it's going to force us into harmonic motion. Islam, and there'll be, that's why I say there will never be any war anymore, because it'd be eternal peace. Because once you achieve harmonic motion, pressure just increases it and becomes more and more harmonic. That's what music's all about. See, because we got the most harmonic minds in the world. That's why we produce such beautiful music. That's what music is. It's harmonic motion. You got the trombone over there doing this thing. You got the trumpet over there doing this thing. You got violins doing everything. Piano, and they're all doing a different thing, right? But it all works together. Because somebody blow a note, man, you know that. Hey, man, whoa, everybody remember that one. Man, you heard that dude? But it's harmonic motion. And we produce the best in the world because we got the best harmonic mind. But the point is that we run the wrong software, so therefore they can take us and let us use our mind against ourselves, so we end up in a prison, you understand, of our minds. Because you're in the prison of your mind. They put you there by manipulating your mind. So you put yourself there. Once you upload the angel and get the and understand the wisdom of pressure, you come out of there. And no one ever imprison you again. Because you have to increase your pressure greater than theirs. And so therefore you run their software, you eating 3 meals a day, you do all kinds of stuff. So therefore your mind's weaker than theirs, so therefore they got control of you. They're compressing you. Instead of you pushing them away. So now they got you in a cell, instead of you pushing away, you out doing your thing. It's up to you, brothers and sisters. I hope I gave enough detail here. Because it's been weighing on my heart that these brothers and sisters, man, I mean, you know, it brings tears to my eyes, brothers and sisters, because what they're doing to us, right? And they're doing it to us because you got lies like Farrakhan, all these clowns around, distorting lies from his teachings and everything else. And therefore, bam. What happened to Malcolm? Malcolm was supposed to be in jail forever, right? Once you heard lies, you came up out of there. He came out of there with a more powerful mind than theirs. He was doing fine until he messed around and let somebody waltz him, trick him. And his mind went weak, and then pressure killed him. He killed himself. You do it to yourself, brothers and sisters. No one else is doing it. No God, no one else doing it. Once you have that wisdom, it said you will not return to have a thorough knowledge of yourself. I'm trying to get that to you. Once you understand the principles I gave you and apply them, then you will see. These brothers and sisters out here getting shot and all that kind of stuff, right? Because their minds is lower than it. See, you got two minds going here. You got Yakub's graphic. This is their mind. This whole society is their mind. It came out of their mind. They come out their ass, came out of their mind. And you got our minds. If their mind's more powerful than yours, they got you under control. They got you in chains. Because pressure only goes one way. It crushes the weaker. The greater pressure crushes the weaker pressure. So you expand the weaker pressure, you take your weak, if you take and strengthen your mind, and your pressure becomes greater than theirs, then you move them out the way. They get out your way. They can't help it. Because it's all about minds. It's all about thought. It's thought, this whole, brother and sister, understand, it's thought that's with you in the condition you are. It's your thought and their thought. If their thought is greater than yours, they have control over you. If you're in prison, it's their thought that's keeping you there, not the bars. It's their thought that's keeping you there. If they change their mind, they change my mind day and night, so they let them out of here. It's their thought. And if you understand thought is pressure, all you need to do is get your pressure greater than theirs, you change their thought. Hope you understand that, brothers and sisters. Okay, brothers and sisters, I'm going to leave it there. Hope you understand. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. See? Because we're coming up out of this country. We're going. See? I'm going home. And the world doesn't want that. Because if we start thinking right, we already got the world jumping. We ain't even woke up yet. We just turn over in the bed, right? And we got the world rocking with our thoughts. Because music is thought. That's where it comes from. It's pressure. And whose pressure is rocking the world right now? It's ours. So first, they love your music, then they love you. Love is obedience. We're already rocking the world because our thoughts are superior to theirs. And what happens when all of us start thinking, when all of us get the right mind? They don't want that. And I'm here to get your mind straight. Upload that angel. Start studying the wisdom about pressure. I gave some few examples, but it's very simple. If you apply it, understand it. See, the 5 principles of Islam, that's your guide. Apply them. Apply them. See, Farad is a made God. He was not self-taught. See, that's what Farrakhan was BS. He was not self-taught. He said Father taught him. He's a made God. He went and got his knowledge from all these scientists that knew what it took to make a God. So his father gave him that knowledge. So sitting with that knowledge wasn't doing any good. He had to put the work in. He had to make slots 7 to 8 hours a night. He had to eat 1 meal every 3 days. He had to put the work in. That's part of the reason why he got the body like he has. Because his body doesn't suffer from energy deprivation like ours do. He's got a devil body, see, but he got an original mind that can control that body. See, that's the problem. The devils, they don't suffer energy deprivation, but they got a weak mind, so they can't control their body. That was the wisdom behind Farad. His father knew what to do. Okay, give him a body that won't suffer energy deprivation, but give him a mind, right, that's more powerful, that can control that body, and more powerful than all other minds around. And so he's riding around in his wheel, kicking ass, and he's about to go into motion. He says, Michael's angels, this war's about to take out. He says, it didn't say that Michael's angels, Michael and his angels, fly and his angels, get ready to kick a dragon, his angels in the ass, kick him out of heaven, kick him out of the Middle East. He had to put the work in, brothers and sisters. Put the work in, you come up out of there. And when you get up out of there, let me know. Send me a postcard, because you're coming out of there. Put the work in. And when you start doing it, just keep your eyes open. And you start seeing things change around you. You start seeing little things happen, these things happen, right? See? And just be consistent. Don't let up. Because sometimes it may look bad, see? That's because it's a process of bringing the greater good. Once you see, right, just keep on going. And once you see things taking shape, don't stop, just keep pushing. See? Because you break down the walls of Jericho. See? Because that's another thing, persistence. They tell you doing the same thing over and over again is expecting a different result, is a sign of insanity. That's to tell you. That's also the sign of perseverance. That's also a definition of perseverance. Perseverance is resonance. Look at resonance. If you ever see a Memorex commercial where she, bam, it breaks the glass, that's resonance. It's doing the same thing over and over again. If I keep tapping a piece of cement, just like I'm tapping it right now, just keep tapping it. If I sit there and tap it, it may take me a year or whatever, I keep tapping it. But that force to build up, it's a crack. That's the whole story about the walls of Jericho in the Bible. Right? This wall was so powerful, nobody could do anything with it. So they told the children of Israel, just sing the same song. Going around 7 days singing the same song. And that resonance builds up and cracked the walls. That's perseverance. That will come from that first principle. First you have to believe in it and don't back down. That gives you strength to do it. You keep on doing perseverance, 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 right? See? And watch those doors come flying open. I don't care what you're in there for. You don't say, well, I'm in here, I got 20 years, you got 10 years, so it'll take me twice long. No, it's going to take you just, You might get out faster than him. It's how much work you put in. Remember, it's thoughts that's holding you in there. It's thoughts that's holding you in there. These pressures holding you in there. That's all that's holding you in there, not the bars. So increase your pressure, increase your thoughts, your power. The 5 pillars of Islam, apply them. And then that means you changing your thoughts. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters.